You can decide between the two. I don't know where Kuma.
I'm still here. You want to go first, Silvers, or no? And who the hell has that noise in the background?
Everyone should mute your mics like right now.
Kuma, I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 5.
10. Oh wait, you said 5.
This nigga.
3.
It was 2. You go first.
Yeah, you don't even care who goes first. All right. Let me know when to start. Dread it, run from it. The next Nakama for the Straw Hats is Carrot. You can agree to disagree. You probably have some bias towards rabbits. But based on the story since the first time we met her from Zoe to Whole Cake, and now that she is still with the Straw Hats on Wano, she's not going to be known as the mink that stole away on the ship. She's going to become the next Nakama. You know, and you can see hints of this when it goes back to how the females joined the crew. With Nami, she was just merely just tagging along with Luffy because, their interests align. But as she journeyed with Luffy, Zoro, then freaking Usopp, and then from the Bombardier, she left. But when all the situations, she basically became part of Naka because of her experience. When it came to Robin, Luffy didn't want her to join the crew. She was like, hell, let me just join in. And because of the experience that Luffy had, she knew that she was a kind person. But the rest of everyone else were like, we don't know about freaking a Robin thing. Even Zoro was like, I don't know about it. But as time went on and through the experience, Robin became Nakama. And it's so far the same with Carrot. So far, Luffy didn't want her. He saw her and was like, it's a freaking talking rabbit, a mink, whatever. But he had no interest. But after he was like, you know what, let her freaking join after she stole away. It's going to be with her experience on the crew that's going to allow her to become that next Nakama. She even had a freaking dream. She always wanted an adventure at sea, and she took her opportune moment, and now she's here. Not only that, though, but when you look, she can even defend herself. As a mink, she was a natural-born fighter. She even had experience, fighting with the Beast Pirates when they invaded Zoe. And even speaking about in Whole Cake with her experience there with her freaking Sulong form, overpowering Daifuku's entire fleet, you don't even have to worry about her. If anything goes down, she'll defend herself. Next Nakama, Carrot.
Momonosuke is the son of Oden Kozuki, the translator, the assumed translator of the poneglyphs on Gold Roger's ship. The Kozuki clan are known for inscribing and translating the poneglyphs, which Momonosuke has never learned. Which, by the way, happens to be a trait that his clan seems to have a bit of a requirement for. Momonosuke has an established dream. He wants to become the next shogun of Wano. Whether that position is an inherited title or a title that you earn from power. Either way, there is no way Momonosuke can hold that position without getting stronger. Momonosuke comes from Wano, a country filled with monstrous swordsmen. In order to become one of those monstrous swordsmen, who better to train him than the future world's strongest swordsman? In order to learn to read the poneglyphs, who better to teach him than the only person, as of right now, has the knowledge to actually translate the poneglyphs, not just understand what they say because of the voice of all things, or understand what they say because they're from the Three-Eyed Tribe. And seeing how Momonosuke wants to open up the borders to Wano for not only for his people to leave the country, but for other people to come in. traveling with the Straw Hats seems to be the optimal way for Momonosuke to not only attain the skills needed to be a pivotal member of his home country, but stand above most all of the samurai in that country. Momonosuke for Straw Hat. That is hysterical. Wait, hold on. After the intros, what is it next? The
Rebuttal
okay.
or counterclaim, yeah.
Okay.
Or defense, I mean.
Okay, so when it comes to Momonosuke, he's like what, 8 years old. That is just too young to be joining the Straw Hat Pirates as of right now. You brought up 2 points about, Robin is able to, teach him how to read the poneglyphs, but just doing that will just undermine her freaking role to play on the crew as the archaeologist reading the poneglyphs. It's like, come on, it's like 2 people now. Even you can count even like Luffy himself, voice of everything. He knows it. Then Robin, now it's going to be Momonosuke knowing it. Another point you bring up is like it was Zoro teaching him and become, a very skillful swordsman. Even when it came to even like Mihawk trading him, that was like freaking 2 years. Like, unless we're gonna get like another time skip, which hasn't even been confirmed yet, maybe. But till then, like, come on now. Even then, with going with the Straw Hats, even on the journey as of right now, with his position of being like again like brewing him up to be like the next ruler of Wano, it's like it's a little bit too risky because I already can see in the latest chapter how just one moment like freaking Tama, oh my gosh, forget that girl's name, got like stolen. Imagine if someone just like came out of nowhere and just stole Momonosuke and just straight up killed him. Like again, back when they talk about when Luffy, he even wanted to join, Redhead Shanks' crew, he was just too young and just inexperienced. When it comes to Momonosuke, it can just be a risk factor for him on the crew. That's my rebuttal.
You speak about Momonosuke and Rob. You speak about Robin teaching Momonosuke to read the poneglyphs as if Robin is going to teach him and he is going to know it instantly. No, that is not the role of an apprentice. You say Shanks wouldn't let Luffy join as a child. Luffy is not Shanks. They may have parallels, but they are not the same person. Momonosuke has shown, he may not have shown tremendous combat ability, but he has been shown to be able to do at least something made evident when he one-shotted Jola from the Don Quixote family. You know what? I'm not even going to say one-shotted because Brook did, in fact, attack her beforehand. And you bring up and you bring up Zoro as in you say that Momonosuke and Zoro teaching Momonosuke swordsmanship, he's not going to learn it. He's not going to learn it all in one go. It's over the course of the remainder of the story. That's what character progression is. That is the role of an apprentice on the crew. He is essentially the Shanks and Buggy of the Straw Hat Pirates. When it comes to Carrot, you bring up her dream, and her dream, yet you give no solid evidence or reasoning for why Luffy would want her. We've seen Luffy take an interest in Momonosuke specifically. He's he's motivated him. He's shown interest in who he is and his cat and him as a person and as a man, telling him stop crying. You have a job to do. You ask for my help. Now you need to be strong. Whereas with Carrot, the first thing Luffy says upon seeing any of the minks is excuse me, is wow, a country full of choppers. Carrot is no exception to that. When the rest of the samurai show up to Wano, well, when the samurai mass accumulates in Wano, Momonosuke is still going to stand out because he's a child, because he is inexperienced, because he can show bravery in those moments. Whereas when the minks amass in Wano, Carrot will be absorbed into that mass of the Alliance. Carrot was introduced to give life to that side of the Alliance, not to take away from the life. Otherwise, they'd be recruiting fodder for the background fights. Not even background fights, for the background scenery. For Carrot to join the crew, you'd be taking away from, like I said, the life of the crew. Yeah, and I just ended it too. Perfect timing.
No, 2 minutes. Yep, 2 minutes closing.
So yeah, Kara would not be taking away anything from the crew. She would actually be helping them out, as opposed to Momonosuke again, who'd be just be with Robin teaching him, with Zoro training him. Like again, it's supposed to be cool on 80%. It's like adding people for an apprenticeship. More hurry up and trying to get and ready to finish and search for the One Piece as of now. With Carrot, it's not really a waste of time. Because you compare with her against even with the vessels of freaking Odin, with Inuyasha and Nekomuski, like they only went on Roger's ship because they were just following Odin. If it wasn't for that, then they probably would have never been there. As with Carrot, I forgot her name. With Carrot, it's totally something different. It was her, Luffy actually, you can see that he actually gained interest in allowing her to even join the crew because Luffy started out. He wanted to go on adventures. He wanted to go out and sea. So he pretty much saw like a younger version of himself in her. Says, you know what, just come along. But with Momonosuke, it's nothing different. Luffy sees that with Momonosuke, it's with him is reclaiming what freaking Kaido and the Shogun pretty much took from him. And that's my end point.
You say Carrot has can add to the crew. You say that Carrot wouldn't take away from anything from the crew. Like you said, we're at 80%. We have no time to develop her. We have no time to give her any kind of showtime. Momonosuke, he develops what little he can, and at the end of the series has a cliffhanger or ends off with Momonosuke continuing on his journey. He develops part way, and for the finisher, for the remainder of the epilogue or the cliffhanger, leaves off with Momonosuke. That's my close.
All right. So I'm arguing that Tarmiel is stronger than Sariel. And I think to first understand this argument, we have to go into a little bit of power scaling. But not necessarily for Tarmiel. We have to go into a fight that he's had. And one of Tarmiel... See, it's difficult to gauge them both separately because really when they fight, they're together. But Tarmiel does have a fight without Sariel in it, which is against Derriere and Galan. So I just like to scale up Derriere for a quick second, and by showing a panel into the debate night room as well, which is this one. So from it we see that Derriere, every time she hits somebody with her combo star, gains 200 pounds of power. Now, I don't know what that fucking means, like 200 pounds of power, if that's like measurable to real life, but I'm not even going to go there. It says 200 pounds of power. That's stated in the panels. It's in the panels. And if you do the math, and in that fight, Tarmiel took a 54 combo from her. Posted here. Now, doing the math, you add up that 54 times 200,000 equates to 10,800,000 pounds of power. But that's only on the last punch, doing the full math of each punch over and over again consistently, and lowballing that her first punch only does 1 pound of power, it shows that Tarmiel took 297,000 or million and 1 pounds of power, and I'm just going to post the damage that was done to him after that. He took no damage from it. He came completely unscathed from that amount of damage. And on top of that, Monspeed in Meliodas versus the Ten Commandments says that Meliodas is the second person to take over a 50 hit from Combo Star, and the other person being Tarmiel. And in that fight with Meliodas versus Daria, at least just their little exchange, Meliodas is at a power level of 32,500. And the damage he received from a 54 hit as well is 2 broken arms. And we saw that Tarmiel has no damage there, meaning that he has to be a power level at least above 32,500, which isn't unbelievable, as the Archangels explained that they are equivalent to 2 commandments. So if we're going to scale that, an average commandment is around 40,000, which is Galan's critical over. We can assume that Tarmiel is at least around the 75,000 scale. And then I'm going to go on to his other opponent, which was Galan. Galan was stated to have a power level of 26,000 at a depleted state, and critical over, as I previously mentioned, was 40,000. In this, like I said, that was a weakened state. So we can lowball Galan at that time when he was at full strength to be around 40,000. Just base right then, without critical over, but he never went into critical over in that fight, so we can't say how strong he is there. Now moving on from that fight, I'm going to go into Tarmiel's Grace, which is Ocean, which is basically, it gives him one of the most overpowered abilities in the series, being that he cannot take a hit, nobody can hit him because he can turn into water. And the only things that can hit him is if A, he's taken by surprise, B, he runs out of stamina, or C, he takes a hit from a dark attack. Think of it basically as a water Logia, except that nobody except demons has hockey in this. Sariel does not have hockey. And the final thing I'd like to close out here is that Tarmiel was able to completely destroy Mel's body with his piercing water pillar. And this damage did more to Mel in a stronger form than Elizabeth's arc. You know, Elizabeth, the one who went against the Supreme Deity and the Demon King. So I'm just going to end my opening there.
Oh my, oh my, oh my. All right. Let me just, I got you. Whew. All right. Can you guys hear me properly? I'm having a really shit mic right now.
Don't worry, man. We can hear you just fine.
I'm good? Okay. Whew. Okay, let me just star this. Do that, and do this. All right. Well, I'd like to start. Wait. All right, now. All right. So right now I'll be going in the Sarmiel side of the debate, saying that Sarmiel is stronger than Tarmiel, and I have three major reasons why Sariel is actually stronger than Tarmiel. The first one I'd like to say is from the 3 basic stats of Taizai, magic, strength, and spirit. Sariel has shown superiority in 2 of those categories, and those are that's 2/3 out of like the entire power system. So if you dominate in 2 of those out of 3, then that just shows how strong you are. And I'd like to say that the first one, spirit, as shown when and Mel was fighting, as shown when Tarmiel was fighting Mel, he was just shown how weak-spirited he is, not being able to overcome the pain of just beating up his comrade, unlike Sariel, who showed great spirit, actually being able to sustain Mel and keep going and keep destroying him.
Hold on. 1 second. I'm so sorry to do this to you. For some reason, DJ cannot hear you, Opio.
Am I muted?
Yeah.
Am I muted?
I don't know. Hold on.
I'm gonna leave.
DJ probably muted him.
Yeah, DJ. Check if he's muted.
I'm back. Hello.
Not muted.
Hello.
You can't hear him, DJ?
Yeah, we can hear you.
I cannot
Hello,
hear
hello?
him. Well, let me try and
Hear him?
reconnect.
Yeah,
Leave and-
reconnect.
Leave and rejoin.
Yeah, Opio, you're good. It's DJ.
So can you hear me now?
Opio, talk. Yeah, okay,
Hello,
there
hello?
we go.
Hello.
Sorry, Opio.
Hello,
I
hello,
could
hello?
not
Opio,
hear you.
Just do a restart, Opio. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, because he can't rebuttal without knowing what the fuck he said.
If King wasn't here, then I'd be doing better, and I wouldn't start as much. But all right. I'll restart. Okay. All right. Shall we go now? Well, I'd like to go into Sariel types of the side of the debate and say that Sariel is actually stronger than Tarmiel. And my three biggest claims are the first one is Sariel actually has shown a lot better showings in the three categories of power in the Taizai universe. That is spirit, strength, and power. And he has shown superiority with his showings in spirit and magical power. I'd like to start off with spirit. As I said, his spirit, Tarmiel has been showing to have such a to be just completely weak spirited, not being able to sustain Mel for long periods of time. Sariel was actually kept going after he stopped. And that just shows how weak spirited he is. The other one is magic, as shown when he was fighting Esterosa with Tarmiel and Sariel. It was shown that he was actually doing better magic wise against Esterosa, as literally Tarmiel just got like one shot. Like Esterosa just said hello, and just literally he out of surprise, Esterosa just literally whacked him onto the ground, not being able to do anything. Unlike Sariel, who actually like took a blow from him and actually threw him back, showing that he actually did better than Esterosa in that fight. So it's showing Sariel just overall did better than Tarmiel in that fight against Esterosa. I'd like to show that the next one is that he has shown better the defense. He has shown humongous defense feats as he no-diffed a fire attack from the strongest demon flames user in the entire story. And this is considering people like Esterosa, Zeldris, and even pre-time skip Meliodas. All their fires are just humongous. Like, for example, he was able to demon fires are able to like no-diff the strongest healing in the entire series, which is Bond's healing. And just imagine the strongest person's fire against the strongest healing factor in the entire story. It's like a no shot. And he apparently has better fire than Meliodas, who literally destroyed an entire country. Really, like that's just mind blowing. And another one is Tarmiel. I'm gonna post the panel. I'll post the panel later, but he actually Tarmiel got literally quickscoped by Mon Speed, little small fire attacks, which Sariel was able to just no-diff. Tarmiel wasn't even able to like go against little fire attacks, and you're gonna tell me that Sariel, who took a point blank fire attack from Mon Speed, that just shows how crazy the defense that they have is compared to each other. And I'd like to explain that Grace, Tarmiel's Grace, is practically useless against Sariel. I'll explain why. As he can't, from what we have seen, he can't use his Grace Ocean against anybody if it isn't in the goddess domain. And from what Tarmiel said, he said only people who are equal to power to us or higher are able to leave this domain. And that practically makes Sariel's Sariel's attacks pointless if he can just leave him. You know what I mean? Like if he can't use his strongest attack, then that's like what? Like that's like one of the biggest handicaps in the end that you can get. And unlike Tarmiel, who has actually shown, Sariel, I'm sorry, my bad. Unlike Tarmiel, Sariel has actually shown the capacity to be able to use his grace outside of the realm. And yeah, that's how I'd like to end it.
All right. So the first thing I'd like to say is that you said that, correct me if I'm wrong later, but you said to me that Tarmiel can only use his ocean grace in a different dimension, yet what do we want to call this right here? He's using it outside of his dimension in the Earth. And also, we want to talk about weak defense. Okay. Sure, Tarmiel took that no-scope from on speed, but you have no power how much power that had behind it. Let me show you what happened when to Sariel with one punch from Derriere. Just one punch from Derriere did this to Sariel, alright? And on top of that, that wasn't just like, okay, he just took that point blank, right? Maybe. No, because this is why. And let me just find the panel real quick. He had up his wind barrier. We've seen so many people break Sariel's wind barrier. We see, yeah, sure, Darria's arm is being broken, but nevertheless, she still broke through it. Now let's go back to my previous statement before my opening. Say we're lowballing this, and that Darria has 1 pound of power. That means she broke through that wind barrier with 1 pound of power. And if that's not true, then that just means Tarmiel just tanked more damage from her. And at the end of the day, how is Sariel going to beat Tarmiel if he cannot even hit him? If he can't hit him, then there's no way. He's just going to tire him out, and then he'll just water-piercing pillar Sariel to fucking no oblivion. End of rebuttal.
Alright. I'd like to start off by saying that you're incorrect, actually. That actually isn't his grace. That isn't his grace. As shown by Esterosa literally saying that when are you guys going to use your graces? Like, that panel you showed is incorrect. That's him using, what is it called? Piercing pillar of water? That's incorrect. That's not his grace. His grace is called ocean, not piercing wall pillar. And this is even backed up by the fact that Esterosa literally said, why aren't you guys using your okay, so Esterosa literally Tarmiel used the piercing water pillar attack, and then at a couple I think it was like a chapter later, he's Hello?
Hello? Oh,
You just roboted really bad, OPO.
I thought that was everyone.
Yeah, that was kind of that was.
Yeah, but just I mean,
repeat that
carry
last
on
couple of
talking.
statements, and you're good. Repeat that last minute, Ovio.
So wait, okay, I'm back. What did I leave off?
Repeat that last minute. Yeah.
That last minute, so restart? Should you just want me to restart?
No. Just the last
Point.
couple
Okay,
of statements.
So it was just that the point was that Tarmiel, his fact was incorrect. He was not using his grace at all. His grace is called ocean, not a piercing water pillar. And Esterosa backs this up by saying, why aren't you guys using your grace? And if that piercing water pillar was his grace, then why would he have to say that? That wouldn't make any sense. That'd be contradicting what Esterosa says. And even Sariel was like, okay, let me. No, they both said, Tarmiel and Sariel. He said, "Let me show you our graces." And then they used their graces in the goddess dimension, I believe it's called. And Sariel was actually shown to use it in the real world, unlike Tarmiel, who actually wasn't. And I'd like to bring up the point that you said that many people broke through Sariel's barrier, even though Esterosa, who had already the people that come to mind who broke it were Derriere and Esterosa. Esterosa literally freaking how many commandments? He had 3 commandments. 3 commandments. He had two to three. I think it was 2. I believe 2 commandments. It took 2 commandments, and those things are wickedly broken to have to break through his barrier. And I'd like to point out that you said Derriere was able to break his barrier. She literally sacrificed her own arm. In the entire story, she was never able to recuperate the arm. She always has to use a darkness hand substitute because apparently, from what is shown, Sariel's wind scythe or whatever it's called, wind barrier, was able to negate her healing. So, are you telling me that Sariel also has healing negating, which is just absurd? And I'd like to post. Oh shoot! I'd like to post this panel of shoot. My bad. It's no fuck. I'd like to post this panel that shows that Monspeed was using more power against Sariel against Tarmiel, who just got. If you look at this little ball of fire, I don't. Just look at that little ball of fire. Sariel was able to get a point blank. Sariel tanked a point blank attack that was probably 10 times bigger than what freaking Tarmiel had to go through, which shows that he literally just got quickscoped by something that small. And I think that's it. Yeah, quick. I don't know what else. I don't know what other word to use.
Pot shot.
Pot shot. You got pot shot.
All right, so I got a 2-minute closing, right?
Oh.
All right. So I do have to say one thing. I guess this is a part of my closing, but Tarmiel still, if it will load, still did use his grace in the. It's not loading. I don't think. Hold up. Oop, that and. Yeah, he still did use his grace in basically, I would call it the neutral world. I guess you could just call it Earth. But anyway, I just like to say that. And there's also a difference between a piercing attack, like a sharp attack, and then just a pure broad-ranged attack, unleashing it. Surviving a pierce, yeah, that's difficult, but keep in mind Tarmiel didn't take any damage from that. But on to the closing statement is that at the end of the day, there is no way Sariel is going to be able to touch Tarmiel with his Grace of Ocean, like Tarmiel's Grace of Ocean, because at the end of the day, a great defense is a great offense. And there's no way Sariel is going to be able to touch him. And that is why Tarmiel is better.
Is it over? All right.
Opio. Jab, jab, cross, hook, cross. Okay, I'm ready. Oh, whoo, dude, come on, dude. Okay, for my closing, okay. Can I start now? Okay, I'm just gonna start. For my closing, I just like to say that my closing, I just like to say that Sariel just has shown better feats overall compared to Tarmiel. He has shown weak spirit, as I said, and he can't even use his grace, his strongest attack. So like that's just a huge handicap there. And I'd like to also say that he like Esterosa was actually able to go across his body, his water body, I guess you could say, his Logia power or whatever. And he was equal to Sari and Tarmiel, and it was never said that you had to have any fire attack to overcome that. That's just your headcanon. That was never stated whatsoever. That only fire attacks could overcome that. It just has to be any stronger attack that any attack that is just strong, that's just stronger than his barrier. If that's the case, then are you gonna tell me that literally freaking who is it? The Demon King can't overcome his barrier? Yeah, that the Supreme Deity can't go against his barrier? Yeah, that's a fat no. Like that just be completely stupid. Are you like that's just headcanon? That's legit just headcanon saying something that was never stated in the manga. And yeah, that's my closing.
Hayake.
No, the go ahead. All right. So, Zabuza is Naruto's first and best villain. He is the opener that sets the tone for the rest of the villains in Naruto, with the exception of Orochimaru being more one-dimensionally evil than most of the big bads like Zabuza, Sasuke, and the Sasuke retrieval arc, Pain, Obito, and Madara. A powerful presence and an intense introduction, along with an interesting fighting style and interesting thoughts and ideas of the world around him, becomes sort of the staple for Naruto villains after his influence. His ideas flow deep through his character, like how his ambitions, despite who he is, much like Pain and Madara, are ultimately good, trying to change the hidden mist for the better. While he was initially irredeemable, despite his not-so-evil goals, he grows and develops as a character, giving him an entire character arc. His impact on Naruto as a character and as a series cannot be understated, in that he set the tone for the villains, and him and Haku actually creating the person that Naruto became as a character. Haku's ideals of wanting to protect someone, namely Zabuza, became sort of a core motivation for Naruto and made him really understand why he wants to become Hokage. And it allowed Naruto, in the end, to finally really reach deep into Zabuza's soul, because his ambitions of wanting to overthrow the bloody Mizukage, later shown to be Yagura, were ultimately the archetypical foundation for later villains like Pain and Madara, except Zabuza did it the most consistently and without contradicting his original character. He was all about bloodshed and didn't hate killing. In fact, he liked it, but ultimately it was all about protecting something or someone close to him, like his attempted coup to protect the mist from Yagura's influence, or him reveling in killing Gato and his men to protect who Haku was.
So, we done? You done?
Yeah.
Alright. 1 second. Alright, so I begin? Alright. So for the character who, in my opinion, is the best villain in Naruto, I chose Orochimaru, and the main reason being, alongside his twisted character and his background story explaining that character, which I think were both displayed very well, Orochimaru is one of extremely few Naruto antagonists that could actually be considered a true villain, at least from my interpretation. Orochimaru has shown us time and time again that his motives are truly all related to his own benefit. He has always been in it for himself and himself alone. He is motivated greed and nothing else, as he does not care about how many other people have to suffer or die, or both, to achieve his goals, which are immortality and knowledge of all jutsu, as we all know. And I'll get into his fantastic character in just a bit. Now compare Orochimaru to the other Naruto antagonists, like Madara, Pain, Danzo was also kind of an antagonist. Now, while they seem very twisted initially, it is later on revealed that their motives are actually good in nature and aim to benefit others. Now, these characters may have some villainous quote-unquote aspects. Madara seems very enthusiastic and genuinely happy during combat, for example, but in the end, his goal is to achieve peace throughout the world. Pain seemed to not care about how many lives or sacrifices, as he put it, were lost to achieve his goal. But again, his goal was to achieve peace. Danzo seemed like your typical ambitious bad guy who wanted to get the highest rank in the village so he can lead them, instead of the likes of Hiruzen, as he was always beating him in basically everything. But it was because he believed that his methods would better protect the village. And then you get other characters like Obito, which are essentially the same. Now, onto Orochimaru's villainous character. Throughout many events that could be considered very traumatizing, Orochimaru has developed kind of a god complex driven by how he hoped to become the ultimate being, as he put it. And with those types of ambitions, he has also developed a very sadistic personality in a sense that he delights in terrorizing others with his first impressions. He has also developed a complete lack of morals, as he does not value people's lives at all, whether those lives be those of people caught in the crossfire of his Konoha invasion, or the people that he has kidnapped to use as experiments, or the people that he has charmed into joining his side with his great charisma. Another fantastic characteristic he developed as a villain, and lets them die thinking that their purpose in life is to serve him, which is also extremely cruel, and so on. I would go into the little details of his personality, but that's like a fucking hour. And also another great thing about him as a villain is the impact he had on most characters he interacted with, which with one is his impact is one of either intimidation or suspense or both. Like how the Genin were intimidated before they even found out that they made contact with Orochimaru in the Forest of Death, as well as, of course, Hiruzen and Anko were also very worried about what he'd do, and even after the fight with Hiruzen, Orochimaru had a long-lasting impact on everybody involved in the Konoha crush, with him always being on guard, and Naruto, the protagonist, always having him in his sights due to him having Sasuke, again reaffirming his position as a villain and an antagonist. Even the Akatsuki were intimidated when they found out Orochimaru has been snooping around and invited him to join to keep an eye on him because of how shady he is, even though the Akatsuki are mostly made up of shady and twisted individuals. And after he left the group, to eliminate him again because of his suspense. And if I have the time now, I would also like to comment about how well Orochimaru's past backstory was structured, starting with his parents' death, then seeing the White Snake scales and Hiruzen's explanation to what those scales mean, experiencing the Second Shinobi World War and seeing how many people and children suffered, then Nawaki, then Dan, then finally sinking into darkness with the experiments on the kidnapped citizens and shinobi, and so on, gradually twisting his personality and making self-benefit his primary, then only. So in addition to his fantastic character while he was a villain, even the way he was built up as a villain is fantastic. That is my opening.
Okay, so you say that Orochimaru, with his twisted character, is one of the few Naruto antagonists that you can actually call a real villain. So what you're saying is villains with redeemable qualities aren't actually villains, like some of the best villains ever, like Meruem. You say that he's selfish and motivated purely by greed. That's true. And what that is that's an archetype for a generic villain that people eventually get tired of. What comes down to being the actually more interesting villains that you really want to read and keep going on with are the ones that you can really see where they're coming from, and you're not exactly sure who's in the right and who's in the wrong. Like Light and L from Death Note, whichever one you actually consider the villain. You say that he developed a sort of god complex and wanted to cheat death, developing a sadistic personality. But other than the god complex and cheating death, which ultimately are just facets of his character, not it as a whole, Zabuza had that sadistic personality, except behind it there was more depth and some reasoning, some real ideas for him, and an entire arc to flesh out who he truly is. Orochimaru left a huge impact on all the characters, but Zabuza left both the imposing impact that Orochimaru left and a narrative impact on developing who all the characters, more than just Sasuke, actually are. Orochimaru had an in-depth and interesting backstory, and yeah, that's more than Zabuza ultimately had. But what I'm saying is, what Zabuza is lacking in the backstory, he does make up for in narrative depth and real personality, more than just being big bad evil guy.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Okay. All right. So you said that a character having redeeming qualities, like, doesn't make them a villain, like evil. And I would like to say that, like I said before, I didn't say that before. Sorry. Zabuza's goal was never evil. His goal was to assassinate the Mizukage, which was Yagura. The only explanation you can bring out of that is because Yagura was a tyrant, and the village was named the Bloody Mist Village because of his doings, like extortion of money from the poor and killing anyone who even had disdain towards him. And he also said that Orochimaru was generic, and that's somehow a bad thing, but that's kind of subjective, so I won't really get into how much that doesn't make sense to me. And you also said that Zabuza is a better villain because he is more relatable. The villain doesn't have to be relatable. It's a villain. How many villains can you find relatable? That doesn't work. Most people don't really kill people in their academy exams. And as I said before, Orochimaru, you said Zabuza has a lot of reasoning and depth to him, but Orochimaru, as I said before, has a ton of reasoning, like Dan, Nawaki, the second Shinobi World War, the death of his parents. He has way more reasoning to his character than Zabuza ever did. And you said about something about Zabuza's impact. Orochimaru had a stronger, better, and longer lasting impact, considering how the entire Shippuden, like most of Shippuden, was based on Naruto trying to get Sasuke back because of what Orochimaru luring him towards darkness, basically, the dark side, basically. So yeah, Orochimaru does have more depth. He has a longer and stronger impact, and there is more reasoning towards Orochimaru's character. And Orochimaru being generic isn't really a problem. Even that is subjective. So, anyways, yeah, I'm done.
Okay, so you said that ultimately Zabuza was shown to not really be this evil person that he was made out to be. But the point is that that sort of intense presence was actually there. The only difference between the two is that Zabuza actually built on that and became more than just this super evil mercenary. And I never said that Orochimaru himself was generic, just he had a generic archetype. And villains or characters in general are more often considered by the wider literary community, not just in anime, but in novels and epics and all that stuff, to be better characters, the ones with more depth, more interesting, more relatable. And I'm not saying that Zabuza's sadistic side is particularly relatable. I'm just saying that if you have actual reasoning behind why they are what they are, and something that everyone can understand and be like, oh, even though I don't particularly agree with this guy, I can see where he's coming from, it becomes a more interesting villain to really think and talk about. And Orochimaru majorly impacted most of Shippuden, or at least like the first quarter of it before Obito took control of Sasuke. But the impact that Zabuza and Haku left on Naruto was really shown in that you could say that Haku created Naruto's entire philosophy, telling him why he wanted to be Hokage, to protect the people around him, to be strong enough like Iruka and Kakashi were. And Orochimaru just didn't have that sort of same real character impact. And you can really see the impact that that had when Kakashi said, "I'm glad you were Naruto's first villain."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again. Okay. So you keep going on and on and on about the depth, the reasoning, the relatability, and even though I explained in my opening and rebuttal multiple times that Orochimaru does have better reasoning, depth, and all that, he does have better, he does have better character. You keep explaining how Zabuza is a better character, and that doesn't really relate to the debate since this is about who's a better villain. And I explained before, Zabuza is not a villain. A villain, by definition, is someone who has malicious intent, and Zabuza never had malicious intent. His intent was to assassinate Yagura, the dude who was a tyrant and was known for making the village known as the Bloody Mist Village. That doesn't really, it kind of redeems him, does not make him a villain, and if you can even argue it makes him a hero for trying to attempt that. The entire reason he fought Kakashi and his team in the first place was because Gato wanted the bridge builder dead, who Kakashi was defending. And I would like to add another layer on this. Zabuza has also shown us a character like personality trait that most villains won't really have, which is honor, a sense of honor. And that was proven when he was reanimated. And he asked Kakashi personally to take him down because he does not want to cause any more damage. I don't know how you can argue that Zabuza is a villain at all. And even how he does not have a better depth of character than Orochimaru. Orochimaru is an antagonist as a whole.
Chopper joined the crew at the start of the Grand Line. Among the newly added members from the Grand Line, though, he is not only the weakest, but on top of that, even in his vital role as Doctor, he is a bit underwhelming. When we talk about worst Strahd, I think we can look at three aspects. We talk about strengths, of course, because there's always a factor. We talk about their specific role, and about an overall character and impact they had on the story. Chopper actually has a good start, because after his introduction arc, that was arguably one of the smaller arcs on the first half of the Grand Line. But after he had a good start with Alabasta and even in Skypiea, he gets the time to shine. But then, starting with Enies Lobby, we get Monster Point, which is amazing. But then he, the Doctor, turns around and almost attacks his own teammates if Frankie hadn't attacked him to stop them, which is horrible in a way. On the Thriller Bark, for the first time, he then meets another Doctor, Hawkback, who he fawns over for several chapters or episodes until he comes into that ethical argument with him. And then he, even with Robin's support, fails to himself defeat somebody with no actual powers. And on Sabaody, he loses it completely and goes Monster Point in the probably worst possible scenario. Of course, we can say that what could he have done against Kizaru and Kuma? Nothing, I guess. But he is one of the most intelligent characters apparently on the crew. He should have known that going Monster Point at somebody who could just warp you away by touching you just gives that opponent a bigger target. So this did nothing. And then the mess happens that is post-TS, post-time skip Chopper. And this, I guess, is the point where we have to look at his fighting, what he gives in terms of strength and what he gives in terms of being a doctor separately, because this gets really messy now. Because as a doctor, he almost fails to save Sanji in the very first arc. Yeah, we can say Sanji had this blood problem, he tried everything he did, in the end he saved him. But really, we have to look at it that way. Having enough blood bags reserved is his job as a doctor. I mean, we would also blame Sanji if mid-voyage he would run out of food. So it is Chopper's job to have enough blood bags stored to save Sanji. Yes, he couldn't have predicted the nosebleed, but in the end, Sanji loses a lot of blood every time. Not quite as much of Zoro, but going to the New World, he should have had some blood bags, enough blood bags there to save Sanji, at least and at least not just run out like that early on in the arc, really. And then we go to Punk Hazard, and this is really actually Chopper's time to shine. And instead, his idea to save children or to help children that have an addiction and are suffering from withdrawal is basically to have these children go cold turkey, which I think is a horrible strategy. But then he finds this withdrawal, this drug that helps him a little bit. But in the end, it is, and that is, I think, a problem we have from Chopper in his being a doctor position in the crew. Law is the one who finally saves these kids. Law is the one who finally gets the poison out of them in a way. And that's something we see with Chopper all the time since Timescape. And that is that there are better doctors around. And those are Law. If Marco comes back, Marco will also probably be a better doctor, more experienced doctor, someone who can do. Yes, he is not a trained doctor the way Chopper is, but has this devil fruit thing. We don't know. Maybe he also has an education as a doctor. Anyway, they are arguably better. They are also by far stronger, both of them. And on top of that, even Caesar, in a way, was more important saving the people of Zou. Of course, that was his poison, so that's understandable. But it doesn't change the fact that Chopper is there, but the more vital factor here is Caesar. And then we go to Wano. And Wano, there is no better doctor at this point around immediately in the immediate vicinity of Tama when she's poisoned. But Chopper isn't there either. So Chopper is a character who, as a doctor, he wants to be the best doctor. At this point, he's not there. That is understandable. But worse, he's not good enough for where he should be at this moment. For where they are in the story, he's not good enough. And as a doctor. And talking about strength, I don't think there's even much to talk about. Chopper is one of the weakest trio from pretty much the get-go. He has a devil fruit, which should have put him higher up, but he's not high up. He is with Nami and Usopp in that weak trio. We can call it like that. And now with Usopp and Nami both getting a power-up, I think they both have surpassed him in terms of strength. So strength-wise, he is, at this point, probably the last, and doctor-wise, he's almost useless at this point, or doing nothing. Okay, I'm finished, I think.
Okay, now let's establish something right away when it comes to Brook. Brook is a problem. Brook as a character has two main problems that I have with characters like Brook. A, he has power but barely uses it, and B, he is a cutout character. And now let me go into more depth of what I mean when I just said that. When I mean he's a cutout character, I mean if you remove Brook from the story, and when I mean remove him from the story, I mean go back to the arc in which he was introduced. Nothing much would be truly missed if is how I'm trying to say. Like for example, when it came to Brook being introduced of him not being able to run away because Moria took his shadow, well, there's a problem with that. Well, no, there isn't a problem with that. And the shadow was given to the samurai. Well, there's one thing. You could have easily just made that Zoro versus the samurai in the first place, and Zoro could have just gotten a brand new sword that way, excluding Brook from the whole equation altogether. He could have just gotten some random samurai or random swordsman shadow into the legendary swordsman in the first place. Number two, when it comes to Brook's bond with Laboon, that already had its own sort of climax the first time we met Laboon, in which Laboon formed a new bond with Luffy, and now Laboon is waiting for Luffy, basically forgetting about his old crew and no longer hitting his head on the mountain. Now moving on to other arcs concerning Brook's character. Now after Thriller Bark, look at the arc right next to that, the Sabaody arc. Brook pretty much attributed little to almost nothing in that arc, specifically in terms of fighting, in terms of helping out a character, or in terms of anything other than that. Now, what I mean by that is, try and picture what Brook did in that arc. If you can think about it long and hard, get back to me on it. Now, not only that, but he also got wished away pretty easily without putting up a resistance. Then again, he was trying to be a barrier so his other teammates could get away, but you all know how well that worked out. It didn't. Now, moving on to the other arcs in which he comes back, like he comes back during the time skip, he gotten stronger and all, and now he went to Fishman Island. Now, at Fishman Island, I like to. I'm not saying we need to exclude Fishman Island, but we need to look at Fishman Island as sort of the how far the Straw Hats have come arc, not really much after that, and all those characters, being the Straw Hats, got development pretty much. So it's not like I wouldn't say development; they got a fight showing how powerful they've gotten. So not really much to say there. Now moving on to the next arc, the Punk Hazard arc. What did Brook do again? I mean, what impact did he truly have in that arc that did anything pretty much? Still trying to think? Nope, nothing. Yeah, that's right. I mean, he had a few laughs, good few jokes. I believe his body got switched out. Is that it? Yeah, that's about it. Moving on to the next arc, the Dressrosa arc. Oh wait, that's right. In the Dressrosa arc, that's right. He got, kind of removed from the arc. Yeah, so yeah, let's move on to the next arc, the Mink arc. What are you doing in the Mink arc again? Oh, that's right. In the Mink arc, he basically, what did he do? Some minks tried to, the dog minks tried to bite him, lick him up. That's about it. He was a tasty treat for them. Yeah, yeah, that's about it. Yeah, nothing much. Now, in the Whole Cake Island arc, people like to say that he's the MVP of that arc simply because he was able to smash the mirror. Well, as far as I'm concerned, he may have smashed the mirror, but that's not what made Big Mom go into the tirade. It literally took Luffy having to show Big Mom the picture a second time or again in order to get her to go into the tirade. So in a way, Brook's mission, even though he succeeded, he also failed because he wasn't the one that directly made her, go crazy. And well, what else? And also later in Whole Cake arc, he got captured by, the first son, his name escapes me now, but got covered in all his candy, pretty much making him a useless hostage that, kind of hindered everyone at that time. Now, move on to this current arc. Oh, well, too early to say, but I'm pretty sure he's gonna have, minimal effort. Now, going back to something else I said earlier about Brook being a character that has power but refuses to use it. Well, if I think about it, he has this power. He has this power, of the dead. He's a very quick and witted and very, fast swordsman. He's able to walk on water. But what has that truly attributed to the story? Nothing. Now you may say, weak character is worse than him. A weak character may be worse than a strong character, but that doesn't make sense because a character who has power but never uses it is, to me, worse than a weak character because at least a strong character who has power can use it, should be able to use it, versus a weak character who, can't in the first place. That's my opening statement. That's my opening statement.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Yes, you say he's a what do you say, cutout character, someone who wouldn't be missed. You say that Ryuma would be just the same if he had different shadow. Okay. The thing is, Chopper wasn't exactly vital to his own arc either. He just, let's be honest. If you get Chopper out of Drum, we would have somebody else finding Luffy on that platform where he climbed up. But other than that, you could have the same arc basically. The problem is you can cut many characters out of many different arcs, and it wouldn't make much of a difference. And I don't think that the Boom's arc story has already climaxed. I think, of course, there is a point made that he now goes with Straw Hat's crew, but it's still, that is from a Boom's side out. You could say this is the end of the story. It might not be, but you could say yes. But from Brook's end, it's not the end of the story because Brook's end still wants to meet Laboon. And the second thing you said is that he didn't distribute anything to the Sabaody arc. Yeah, who did distribute anything to the actual fight? The actual fight, Kizaru versus Kuma, pretty much everyone was useless. Zoro and Sanji did a little bit, and Luffy did a little bit against Kuma, and Robin managed to save Zoro once, I think, in the anime. I'm not sure if that was in the manga too, but other than that, most of them weren't able to do anything against them. Chopper actually went Monster Point and wasn't able to do anything against them. In fact, if I remember correctly, he was more of a distraction to his own allies than he was to his opponents. Sentomaru seemed a bit shocked, but Kuma just whisked him away just as easy as anybody else. Then about the pause time skip, which the problem is most of what you said I could just as easily say to to Chopper. Chopper had a bit more of an impact, I guess, on Punk Hazard than Brook had, but taking into account that this is an arc that deals with poison, with people suffering from withdrawal and addiction, he should have played a much bigger role than he did, but he didn't. Chopper was also removed from the Dressrosa arc, just like Brook, and as I also pointed out in the Mink arc, as in Punk Hazard, he did play a role in the poison treating, but again, less than he should have, because Caesar did most of the job. Chopper just got the thank you for it, apparently. And then about Whole Cake Island, well, who also got captured by Perospero's candy? I think Chopper did, if I remember that correctly. And Brook did not just smash the mirror. Brook also stole the pornoglyph, wounded Zeus. Brook did more than just smash the mirror. Most importantly, he stole that pornoglyph. Chopper ran around in the mirror world. Yes, that was important, but it's kind of difficult at this point to differentiate how much importance Carrot had in that part, how much importance Chopper. I think for both of these characters, Whole Cake Island was the best arc, but Brook was way more important in this arc than Chopper. This arc goes pretty much Luffy, Brook, Nami, Chopper. So Chopper was the least important of the Straw-Hats here. And yes, that's about it.
Okay, now going back on a few things of what you literally just mentioned. Now, first, let's start with the Whole Cake Island arc. Okay, well, for one, you mentioned that he got the poneglyphs. Well, let's not forget, and this is very important to remember. Well, when it comes to the poneglyphs, that was always a side mission, and yes, it may be important going ahead in the story, but you must have forgotten that Luffy himself said that he would return one day to face off against Big Mom, and at that point in time, they would have easily been able to get it easier since they would have been stronger, assuming later on, since he did vow that he would return. Now, going back to that harming Zeus thing, well, okay, he harmed him. Yeah, that's about it, pretty much. Like he didn't, force it to go back and then Big Mom's soul. He didn't eliminate her. He did not even manipulate Zeus like Nami did in that arc. So that's something we also have to take in consideration. And now also going back to something, and also not let's also mention some stuff that you said against Chopper. Now you remember, now you said Chopper, he had the two times he went against Monster Point were very stupid decisions in which Chopper himself made. Well, okay, you seem to be getting something. One, in both situations, he was very desperate as a character himself. One, like fighting against that hairy hair paint guy from, that hair paint guy from Ennie's lobby. He was desperate, and two, Robin was being captured, and they were on a time limit. Anyone in a desperate situation would have taken a gamble in that case. And two, during Saba Ondi, where you said it was a stupid decision for him to go into Monster Point, they were all stressed out. They were all panicking. They had no idea what was happening to their comrades. He was desperate. What else was he supposed to do? Just nothing? No, sorry. He now, stupid as the decision may have been to you, to me, it was the only decision or the only choice he could have made. Now also, you also mentioned the fact that now something I have now going back to something about Brook is no, going back to something against Brook, yes, is the fact that, and we can't forget this fact that basically when it came to Brook in Whole Cake Island, there's some Whole Cake Island. What happened was he got captured by Big Mom and was basically, I don't want to call her doll, but basically her hostage. While Chopper, along with Chopper, was also part of the people responsible for capturing the Mirror Woman or Brule in order to make them be able to escape easier throughout the arc after that, showing the fact that he contributed to that arc greatly in helping the Straw Hats escape. Other than that, which was a very major thing for that arc. Now, going back to something else that Chopper actually was able to achieve early on in the story is that Chopper himself was also able to, one, patch up some characters which we need to patch up, that also help further along the story. Did Brook ever do that? No, Brook has only ever been truly, a relic of the past. Wait. No, sorry, wrong thing to say. Brook is a relic of the past that basically helps guide and what I
Hmm? Luck us through. Okay. First and foremost, stealing the Pornoglyph was not just a side mission. That was one of the 2 prime missions of Whole Cake Island Arc. In fact, defeating Big Mom was only a side mission. Stealing the Pornoglyph was number 2 on their list. It was getting Sanji, getting the Pornoglyph, running away. So getting the Pornoglyph was the most important thing. And what was Pedro set out to do, what Pedro even was willing to die for in the end, when he fought Tomago and first tried to suicide bomb himself. And it was also Brook's only job during this thing, which he made perfectly. He stole the Pornoglyph as he should have. So just not just a side mission, that was his mission. Yes, Chopper did get Burley. Yes, that was important, but no, that was not as important as getting the Pornoglyph, because getting the Pornoglyph actually was the main objective. The whole mirror world thing was very, very useful when they actually made the whole secondary plot, that is trying to get Big Mom. But that is the secondary thing. Pornoglyph, more important. And what just happened? And the problem with Chopper is that he patches people up, but if we were honest, Nami did patch people up long before Chopper was in the story. Chopper is there to deal with the actually important, actually difficult to treat injuries, and he does not do that. The difficult to treat injuries, Law takes care of, Caesar takes care of. I bet when Marco comes back, Marco takes care of them. There are a lot of characters. Actually, there are, as far as I know, more doctor characters in the show than we have swordsmen. And so far, Chopper has not proved.
No, so keep talking.
Sorry. It's like. I said sorry.
And then not just. No. No. Okay, I'm calm now. No, I was gonna say, I was gonna say. No, guys. Okay.
Take your time, Luck.
Okay. Let's calm down. Let's calm down. Come on, guys. Let's relax. Oh my God. Okay. You know what? Okay. I'm calm, guy. Okay, you were saying, Sass? Let me mute myself. Okay. I see. Okay. My skin is literally vibrating. Okay.
No,
Okay.
take your time with your answer. It's no problem.
Okay, it's gonna be 2 minutes. Okay, I think I'm calm again. Great. So, yes, play some elevator music, please.